Shy men of Reddit, how did you meet your girlfriend? So? I was having a LAN party at my parents' house in high school. She was interested in exactly why I was savagely whooping everyone's ass at StarCraft and Warcraft 3, and we hit it off while I explained what they were doing wrong. She admits now that she didn't really care about the game and just thought I was cute. I was having a LAN party at my parents' house in high school. This is literally the most unlikely situation to meet your grass dude. She met me and courted me and forced me to hang out. I tried my darndest to shoo her off. 6 years and counting. She yanked me out of my weird shell and passively boosted my confidence. I am now very friendly and outgoing. I appreciate her a lot. Blink 3 times if you need help. Went to the same college. She was doing a project and needed different opinions on a topic and messaged me on Facebook. I misinterpreted her intentions and said we should do it in person. Been together for 4 years because I was brave enough to ask a simple question. We were on a team in college. She sat down close to me on a bench. I scooted over. She scooted over. Repeat until end of bench. I stood up. My friend Brandy saw that and said, "You stupid crap. If you don't ask her out, then I will." Married 30 odd years now. I drank her water by accident. I thought it was for us all at the table. Broke the ice anyway. ICQ. She messaged me after looking at profiles of local people. Been together 16 years. Bro, you basically invented internet dating. Fell asleep on her shoulder while sitting next to her, traveling. Then unconsciously took her jacket for use as a blanket. Married 11 years now. I used to visit the same coffee shop every day, and my now wife would also go there with her best friend before going to work. I would sit there reading and drinking coffee while her and her friend would sit across the way talking. We would occasionally catch each other checking the other out, but that was the furthest it got. I admit I was intimidated by her beauty and couldn't get the balls to approach her. One day after staring at each for a while, her and her friend got up to leave. They stopped at the door and I could see her friend asking her for something. She dug through her purse and gave her a business card. Well, said friend comes over to me and hands me the business card saying, "Please call my friend. We come in here every day. I have to watch you all stare at each other and never say anything. Just call her already." They walk out after that. I called her about 15 minutes after that to introduce myself. We make plans to go out and the rest is history. I am now married to the woman of my dreams and who is my soulmate. I swear she is. She was made just for me. Had I never had the balls to call her, or if a friend never gave me the card, I would have missed out on my life. I now have 2 beautiful daughters and I couldn't imagine life without them. So muster up that courage and approach that girl. You never know, you could be missing out on the best thing that ever happened to you. My sister was going to the movies with friends, and I was told to get out of the house for once and went with. Ended up sitting next to one of my sister's single friends. Made a rather off-color joke about one of the pre-movie ads. A week later I ended up at her place and the rest is history. My buddy walked up to a random girl and said, "You see that guy over there? He wants your body." I didn't even see her, nor him do it. She called me a week later, and now we've been together 5 years now. This is the same buddy that 3 months prior convinced the entire freshman class in high school I was actually gay. My GF had to ask my other friends if I was gay before pursuing me. He thought it was hilarious. Wingman level 100 right there. Shy men of Reddit. Yes. How did you meet your girlfriend? So, frick. Asked her aunt if she had any single Filipino nieces or cousins near my age. Thank God she did. At a family gathering, one of those where it's a bunch of your family and a bunch of other families that are all friends. I had just gotten out of the hospital for some sad stuff, so I wasn't really in the mood to be around a bunch of people, so I went out front and sat on a bench. Apparently I stole her seat because she came and started going off on me. When I pulled the whole "it doesn't have your name on it," she simmered down. I made room for her and she sat. We got to talking. Mostly her talking and me sitting there being miserable. And I couldn't help but think of how annoying she was. She tried to force feed me candy and I didn't want any. She tried to tickle me. She just annoyed me the whole night. Then came the time for her to go home. I, out of politeness, offered her my number and instead she gave me hers. Well, here we are more than 5 years later. My favorite part of our story is, my dad and her dad were best friends growing up. I never knew about her or anything even though we had been at many of the same parties. We went to the same school etc. But I never really paid attention until that night. Read family gathering and got a bit worried for a second. She was a friend of a friend. She saw me eating an apple and said apples help you poop, and so we said that to each other every time either of us had an apple. We have been eating apples together for over a year now. Husband and I are both pretty reserved. We've been married for almost 7 years now. We met at a comic book store. He found out I'm a Batman fan and loaned me The Long Halloween. He figured that'd be his way in. Except he kinda passed a stack of books out to everyone in our discussion group, and I just grabbed the book I wanted and walked out the door without speaking to him or anyone. Out of shyness, not intentional cruelty. I wasn't aware of his strategy. Worked out for him though, because I returned the book to him at a screening of the Star Wars Holiday Special. We began discussing Robins and I expressed my distaste for Tim Drake. He scowled at me. We got married roughly 3 years later. Who would have ever thought the Star Wars Holiday Special could ever bring about something so positive? I used to collect hockey cards and have a pretty sweet old collection. A new girl at work asked me about my hobbies and I told her about them. I jokingly said she should come over and take a look because she is kind of into hockey. So she comes over and I'm showing her and she starts laughing because she thought I was using come over and check my hockey cards out as some sort of weird cheesy way to get her to my house. I had no idea that she was into me, but we have now been dating for 2 years. Calgary kid. Hockey cards. This checks out. MySpace. She was one of my sister's friends. Married 9 years now. Sitting at home one evening, playing WoW. A friend and his wife both text me simultaneously asking what I'm doing. Oh crap. They tell me they're at the bar and there's a girl there who the wife knew from high school. They've been talking me up to her for some reason. Decided frick it, I've got nothing to lose. Go to the bar, meet the girl, get invited to her party the following Friday. It's a Halloween party. I show up without a costume because socially awkward. She's the only one there I sort of know. Get drunk to ease the nerves. Apparently I'm charming when I'm drunk, because it's now almost 2 years later and I'm writing this on my phone while lying in bed next to her, planning on proposing as soon as I can save the rest of the money for a ring. I'm an extremely shy guy and got to university without ever having had a girlfriend. In my first class, a group of 4, me, 2 girls and another guy of us sort of became friends and studied together semi-regularly. We got on reasonably well, nothing amazing, though. After that year, the other guy and I stayed pretty good friends and had classes together all through second year as well. In third year, one of the girls happened to be in our classes again, so she sat with us, and since the fourth girl was no longer around, I was forced to interact with her more often than I had in first year, and I realized that she was really cool and had very similar interests to me. She and I quickly became really good friends and hung out loads, and I ended up developing a tiny crush on her, which was irritating because she had a boyfriend at the time. One day, we were hanging out and she seemed a little off, so I asked what was wrong, and she told me she and her boyfriend were considering breaking up. I of course played it cool, all the whole running victory laps in my head, but I tried to be supportive and understanding and whatnot. They did end up breaking up, and a week or so later, we were texting and she told me that she had a tiny crush on me, and that was part of the reason that they broke up. I was ecstatic, though nervous, so I tentatively admitted that I liked her too, and then next time we saw each other we ended up holding hands, and a few days later we ended up making out at uni at about 9 PM, and I got to touch some boobs. Almost 2 years together. Now, that ended up a lot more ramble-y and probably a lot less interesting than I intended. Sorry. And I got to touch some boobs. Nice bra fives. Female here, answering on behalf of my boyfriend. He stared at me all semester long from 3 rows ahead of me, and once exam day came, I decided I had enough and was too intrigued. If he wasn't going to talk to me, I'd talk to him. Every single time I'd catch him, he shyly looked away, so I aggressively gave him my number before running off to write the exam, and once he texted me, we hit it off. Turns out he had been trying so hard to gather the courage to talk to me, so he was just ecstatic to receive my number. Funny part is, before handing him the piece of paper saying text me, XXX, XXXXXXX, I was so nervous about walking over to him that I was just playing with it and dropped it at one point. I quickly grabbed it before anyone could see what it was, but he told me he saw me drop it and was going to pick it up and hand it to me. I thought it was hilarious. He would have been picking up my number. Alas, I grabbed it too fast and he hadn't gathered the balls. It's been a year and a half, and we're wildly in love. I'm sorry. Knew a girl from a couple of my best friends. Actually became really good friends with her. She was dating someone. She introduced me to one of her co-workers and she and I have been dating for a year and a half now. When trying to get to know a girl, remember, you can become just friends with her, because she has friends that are probably single. Depressed my whole life. Made depressing Reddit post. Depressed girl PMs me. 7 months later and we've never been happier. Last year of college. On-campus apartments are co-ed, but only in that neighbors can have the opposite sex and not roommates. I get roomed with a girl thanks to something of a clerical error. School tried to force both of us out. We threw a fit about it. Long waitlist to get one of the apartments. Only alternative was going back to her dorm room. Meal plan complications. Both of us owned lots of apartment specific stuff. Whole thing was a clusterfuck. And in the end we both told the school that we didn't give a crap and to let us live in peace. Kind of hard to stay shy around someone you're living with. Became best friends. Started having sex. Then started dating. Have lived together since then. Doesn't everyone just text girls animated gifs from Reddit? This actually worked for me once. On RuneScape, we dated for about a month before she came out of the closet as a 38-year-old male. It was brave of her to admit, but it ended our romantic prospects. Wave 1 type 2222 to be my GF. This thread gives me hope. This thread gives me anxiety. I'm surprised I have read this far down. Worked at a car shop. Next door was a strip mall and a 7-Eleven was on the end. So all day we'd walk over and grab drinks and snacks. Saw this really cute girl working there one day. Day after day goes by. Small talk. Figure out a few details. But nothing else. Wanted to ask her out, but it was one of the busiest locations in the city. And I didn't want to have either of us put on the spot with 10 people all around watching. This crap goes on for like 4 months. With me going in as much as 7 times a day. Then one day she's gone. Don't know where she went, but I don't see her again. My heart drops. I figured she moved or went to another location, or quit. I kicked myself in the ass for not manning up and asking her after all those visits. A month passes, and then all of a sudden she's there again one day. Turns out she was working overnight shifts. I didn't forget what I felt when I thought I lost her forever, so I finally asked her out. I believe my line was, "What would it take for me to get your phone number?" Her response was, "For you to get on your hands and knees and beg." I didn't know what the heck to say. I think I froze like a deer in headlights. She felt bad for making me lock up like that and just laughed it off and gave me her number. We dated for a week, and then she broke up with me after I bought tickets to opening showing of Talladega Nights. She was acting all funny when I was hanging out in her store trying to talk. I was creeping her on Facebook and she told a girlfriend I was too clingy. So I took my dad instead to the movie. A week goes by and I get a random phone call from her one night. Wants to meet up at Buffalo Wild Wings and explain what happened. So I go. We end up talking for like 3 hours. Come to find out she really wanted to move back to her hometown and was afraid to get seriously attached to me. But when she looked back, she never was with someone like me and she didn't feel she should ruin it for that reason. So we go back to her place after, and next thing you know we're exclusive, and then engaged, and then married. And it's been almost 9 years and 2 kids later now. I won. You have been visited by the lemon shibby, like in 3 seconds or you will never a vitamin C again. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check out another video. Or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.